Hello and welcome to Hank Games Without Hank. My name is John Green. I'm the manager of the 5th place AFC Wimbledon Wimbly Womblys. 29 games in, sitting on 50 points. We are in the playoff race. Are we going to get to the top 2 in order to be one of the automatic qualifiers? It's not looking great, but I believe in us. We've still got 3 months left in the season, lots of games left to play, and a few days left in the transfer window. I am trying to get a really hardcore good center back, wing back, or left midfielder? Yeah, left midfielder. So far, no luck, but let's not give up. We're very strong at right midfield. We've got Frankenstein, K. St. Luce, and Mose Vestergaard, all right midfielders, and really our only left midfielder at the moment, other than C. Arthur, who frankly is not up to the task, is Yabamba, who frankly, in terms of skill level at least, also isn't up to the task. But of course, we know that it's about more than skill level. Today we're taking on once mighty Leeds United, former champions of Europe, currently like 8th in the second tier of English professional soccer. And I'm going to talk about how to revise a novel, which is something that I do a lot. Not as often as I'd like, maybe, but still a lot. Come on, ball, John Green. Slow motion goal. Oh, I love it. Yes, dude. What? Yes, the Macarena. Absolutely. Was that the Macarena? I'm not even totally sure. Is it the chicken dance? Anyway, ball, John Green, John Green. He gives it all for the team. Upon his mustache wear keen. Ball, John Green, John Green. What a ball from K. St. Luce, the patron saint of lost crosses. And then John Green, one of the best headers in the game. One of the best heads that the Womblys have ever seen. An absolute genius of finishing. Did it for his son, JJ. Beautiful to watch. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. What a dream start it is for the Wimbly Womblys today on a beautiful day in England, it has to be said. So here's the first thing that I tell myself about revising. In a way, the first draft was also a revision, so it contains nothing sacred in it, or nothing important, or nothing lasting, nothing that can't be lost. There's no tragedy in in saying well, this isn't going to be part of the book, because the first draft was also a revision of a kind. Right, the first draft was just me revising thoughts in my head into thoughts on a piece of paper, or a digital paper, since I don't really print things out anymore. I used to print things out a lot. Back Looking for Alaska was printed out 30 times, but it's a different world now. Cloud computing and tracked changes and whatnot. So yeah, it's still very much that a question of the whole process. Amankwa? No. Were you offside? Please? Yes. The whole process being a process of revision. I find that really helpful to think about, because then it doesn't hurt so much to cut things or to make decisions or to make changes. The other thing I try to tell myself when I'm revising as opposed to a first draft is that I am now creating this for a reader. Maybe at one time it was mostly about me. Oh, ball, John Green. Dang it. Maybe at one time it was mostly about me, but that time has passed, and now it is mostly about the reader, and it needs to be about them. Look at K. St. Luce. That's a big, powerful man. Oh, K. St. Luce, though, with a beautiful run. We had lots of guys in the box for his cross to aim at. It's just that none of them got there, and that's an unnecessary slide tackle from a defender. It's my favorite kind of slide tackle from a defender. So, I have to stop thinking about myself or my needs or my personal interests and fascinations, if possible, and start to think about the reader, and does this make sense? Will this be exciting for a reader? Will this will this particular spot of text get the reader to what I want them to feel or what I'm thinking about? And so trying to focus on them. Now, of course, that's a vague idea, what do readers want? But that's one of the reasons I have readers, Sarah especially, and also Julie Strauss-Gable, my editor, who reads everything that I write in pretty much every draft that it exists. It's very helpful to have those people, because they're the ones who can kind of tell you, this is boring, or this doesn't make sense, or I don't see why this is relevant to the themes of your book, or whatever. And they're also the people who I can tell, like, oh, I want this book to be about identity, or I want this book to be about, like, the universality of forgiveness, or whatever. That's a nice discussion there that ended with the Golden Child on the ball, making progress. Golden Child, Golden Child, Golden Child. Wow. Wow. He's only 7. So he sometimes struggles in that central midfield role on account of being, 3 feet 9 inches tall and 7 years old. But I believe in him. I believe in his long-term prospects. I really do. Look at the Golden Child. The only thing is he's a little selfish on the ball. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but he has a little trouble letting go and passing. So that's another thing that I would say about revision is that, like, it's the time when you have to let go, the time when you have to understand that you're not going to be the only voice in the room anymore, and that means listening to your readers. Now these days, of course, for me, that means listening to Julie, but that was true. It was very important to have readers giving me that kind of advice even before I was published. Eileen, my sort of fairy godmother of publishing, who really got Looking for Alaska published and also helped me to rewrite it pretty much from scratch so that it became a readable novel with a plot and stuff instead of a series of disconnected ideas about grief. It's very important to have those people, whether it's a friend or a mentor or a teacher or a parent or whatever. It's really important to have those people. And the difficult thing is that you have to listen to them because they're going to tell you things that kind of hurt your feelings, because that's the nature of writing, is to have your feelings hurt, I think. I've never gotten an editorial letter that didn't hurt my feelings. I don't think I've ever gotten an editorial letter that didn't probably make me cry. But it's just, that's the nature of it, because it isn't perfect. I think most writers are sort of torn between the feeling, like they go between these two poles. The one pole being, I am a genius, and the other, finish! K. St. Lucie just absolutely unleashed a corker. But then I think it hit Ball John Green in the head. Anyway, that would have been a beautiful goal, but life is hard and full of disappointments. You have to listen to them because their solution for whatever's wrong may not be right. But if they feel like there's something wrong or that something's not working for them, they are definitionally right. Because by very definition of what it means to, like, what a book is, a book exists. If a book exists for its readers, then there's a reader you trust whose opinion you care about. Then, like, you need to listen to their concerns because they're sort of definitionally valid. Like, it's definitely a place where you have tried and not necessarily. Come on, to your husband. What a pass! Oh no, are you kidding me? Not realistic. Ball John Green puts that in the back of the net 10 times out of 10. He can score from a 45-yard header, but he can't score from 3 inches away from the goal. Look at him running like a beautiful horse. Is that weird? Is that a weird image, Meredith? Is that creepy? No, she says it's all right. Yeah, so I think you have to learn to trust those readers, and then you have to learn how to, like, the very difficult thing for me at least is how do I execute what they're saying, because a lot of times I think their prescriptions aren't right. Like I remember with The Fault in Our Stars, for instance, Julie was like, there was all this stuff about waterfalls. The water metaphor was way more waterfall-y. Oh, saved off the line! Oh, devastating. Oh, my heart pounding, and not in a joyful way either. K. St. Luce. Oh, it was Always Rising. Always Rising would be a great name for a soccer novel. Anyway, I remember there was all this stuff about waterfalls and all this. There was way more stuff about, and then the ending was ridiculous and stuff. And, a lot of the things that Julie proposed in lieu of, everything worked out. And then I even got it out of the box. Good for me. Everybody's always given me stick about that, but sometimes I do a nice job. Anyway, the stuff that Julie proposed I didn't necessarily agree with, but she was right that the stuff that was there wasn't working. So, like, that's the challenge really for revision, and it's like jigsaw puzzles, you know, like when you feel it, there is no better feeling for me than the feeling of a novel clicking into place, like whether it's structurally or the language of it, or I stumble into a phrase that captures something that I really wanted to get to, like that feeling of like, of things fitting into place is so incredibly rewarding, that it's what I'm chasing, you know. So I love revision because, well, at least now I love it because I know that it's the time I'm most likely to get that feeling. Murphy there has the Callum Kennedy haircut. And that's the feeling that I'm looking for as a writer, is that feeling of like click, 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 click. You can almost hear the things like suddenly making sense and suddenly become something bigger and more interesting than the thing that you thought, you know, that you thought you were writing. Like it feels, you suddenly feel less limited than you used to. But I was going to say about the polls, I think most writers, or at least a lot of the writers I talk to, feel this same experience. Like sometimes I feel like I am a great genius, and sometimes I feel like I am literally and actually the worst person to ever attempt to write something, and that I am a great embarrassment and a complete imposter, and that I have no business writing anything ever, and that I will be found out, and when I am found out, when it is found out that the emperor wears no clothes, I will be humiliated, and in addition to being humiliated, I will not have a job, and then I will, yeah, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a powerful emotion, like the self-loathing or the self. I mean, it's more than self-doubt. It's being convinced that you're the worst. Whenever you get any kind of criticism, like all it does is say to that part of your brain, like, oh, you are correct, like you are the worst. And so it's very difficult to listen to criticism, but it's also really important because it is the only way we have of getting better. Speaking of getting better, we won a game in the league instead of tying for once. AFC Wimbledon, 3 points against Leeds United. Callum Kennedy's hair, still terrible. So, you know, some things progress, some things stay the same. Good luck with your writing, those of you who write, but hopefully some of my advice can also apply to like cabinetry making. I've often thought that like laying tile would feel the same way as writing, because it all has to click into place and like the pattern has to work across surfaces and stuff, and then when it does, it has to feel great. By the way, there's a ginger green. Stop everything. I think we've got our next target. Thanks for watching. Best wishes.